Good. All right. Thanks for everybody coming. Thanks for everybody being here. Good seeing everybody. Just want to give some thanks. First of all, I want to thank the players, all 90 of them, and all of them that we've had just in and out. Just the the mental and physical demands that they endure. I just have the utmost respect and admiration for what they do and what they have to go through and all that they accomplish. So I thought that was huge. I want to thank Dan. Thought Dan did a phenomenal job just managing the entire camp, managing the team. For our identity and who we are as a team, it's really hard to get the needed work that we have to get, all while balancing taking great care of our players. So I thought that he was incredible in those regards. Our coaching staff, the focus on the fundamentals and development of our players. I thought they did a phenomenal job. The time spent, the effort, the energy. I just thought that they were all incredible. Our personnel staff. They were great. Our pro personnel department, led by Rob Lohman, our pro scouts, our directors, really everyone. We had a very detailed, sound process that entails a lot of work, a lot of hours of basically scraping the entire league throughout the preseason. And we did not claim anyone, but we were able to target some external players to add to our practice squad, which I felt was very strong, and I thought that they all did a phenomenal job. We had a new training medical staff. That was a big overhaul for us this past spring. I thought they did an awesome job. I think all of our players really felt the positive impact. I thought our whole organization felt the positive impact. Player health is of number one priority as always. So Brett Fisher, Mike Sundin, his entire staff thought that they did great, and it's truly a all hands on deck group effort. You got equipment and video, football ops, our entire player wellness staff, our grounds crew. I always say they're the best in the world, to host two joint practices. And it's looking like Augusta National every day out there. It's pretty impressive. Nutrition, dining services, security, really. So all in all, I just thought that everybody performed at an elite level. Want to thank our fans, the attendance, their support, their excitement that they brought. I thought it was amazing. Like I always say, our fans and our city are just like us. Is who we are. They're a very gritty group, and just got a lot of appreciation for them. Just from a roster standpoint, you know. Just sitting back over the summer before we got started in camp, I was thinking like we're gonna have a lot of tough decisions, and we did. But actually, when it all came down to it, it wasn't quite as many as I thought it was going to be, which was a credit to a lot of people, and most importantly, credit to the players. I thought offensively, we were explosive last year. We added some pieces this past offseason and also the continuity that we had in hopes to be more explosive this year. And then defensively, we wanted to improve our personnel on defense, which we did. But also, we had other players that were either in a development stage or in a medical related stage that really came alive this camp. So ultimately, it really left us with tremendous depth on the defensive side of the ball. And obviously, I'm sure you all see the numbers. It's pretty heavy over there. But with that kind of depth on the defensive side of the ball, I do believe that that's how you put yourself in best position to sustain over the long haul during the course of the season. Special teams, that's a big focus for us. It's very critical for us. We had kept six linebackers. I'd say 5 out of those 6 are legit special teams players, as well as players that can definitely contribute on defense. We had a kicker battle. Ended up going with Riley, so he'll start us off. But it's not to be forgotten about our practice squad. Like I mentioned earlier, that we put together to add Michael Badgley to the practice squad, and then you have players like Khalil Dorsey, who we signed last year late, and he really came alive and made a lot of plays on special teams this camp. So to have him join and make the team, so just all 3 phases just felt the improvement, and we're just ready to get rolling. That being said, I'll take any questions.
Yeah, we talk about the last 2 seasons, the starts. That's what kind of put you guys in a hole. From 1-6, 0-8. When you put the roster together, is it even possible to put together like a fast start? Like, are you getting guys so we can come out the gate? Is that even on your mind at all as you developing the roster, like getting off to a better start?
It's a good question. It's not so much the focus of how start. Obviously, yeah, we all want to start fast, and you don't want to be in a 1-6 hole again. But we're just taking it step by step, phase by phase, really. And that's how we roll. We're very aligned. We have great cohesion in our process in terms of how we build the roster and construct it. I do think we have a good balance. We're still a very young team, but we have a good balance of enough veteran leadership and guys that played not only on our 53 but also our practice squad. So that sustainability component that I was speaking about, to go through the long haul of the season. But obviously, we feel like we'd be ready. You want to start fast, obviously, and I believe that we have the players in place to kind of put us in that position.
Right now in your third year, all the roster churn, as you said, harder decisions to make as the roster's getting better. How high is your level of confidence that you guys can win the division title with the roster you guys have put together this year?
Very high. I do think that we've, let's call it, took our medicine in the past couple of years. Me and Dan talk about it all the time. We've coached the Senior Bowl. We've had to do hard knocks. We've done all that. We've gone through a lot of darkness to get to this point, but that's where the grit comes in place in terms of just not really wavering and put your head down or get discouraged. And so we just kind of just put the focus in building the best roster that we can, and really just getting the best football players. It's not just you're not just collecting talented guys. It's like it starts with football players first. And what's a football player? You're smart, passionate, instinctive, relentless, tough, gritty. It starts there. But we have football players with talent. So and we just kind of steadily collected that over time. But we were very strategic and selective in that process. A lot of talented football players that we did not draft, a lot of talented football players we did not sign in free agency, talented football players we did not put a claim in for. So it kind of got us to this point, but we feel.
Question I have is 3 drafts. Everybody on that you've drafted is on the team except for Jamar and IR in some fashion.
Yep.
How much source of, I guess, pride do you take in that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Yeah, I guess you look back at it, you feel good about it, but we just focus on selecting the right players and selecting good football players that fit us. You do expect when you get into rounds 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but really, I mean, when it gets into the late rounds, 6th, 7th rounders, I mean, those picks aren't just throwaway picks or picks just throwing a dart. I mean, that's a concentrated, intentional pick on those guys. So, when you select a guy like a Sorsdal in the 5th round from William and Mary, I mean, yeah, I mean, he came in, he got better and better every camp. When you pick an Antoine Green in the 7th round, he has a lot in his body. He's got some development to do, but I think he showed that over camp. So, all the picks, and then all of our undrafted players. That's a big area of emphasis for us. It's a very detailed sound, thorough process that we put into that. And so to have, to find a Stephen Gilmore to come in and make the plays. And it wasn't a surprise to us having a Gilmore make plays like that. He did that his whole time at Marshall, but to put it together in camp. So it feels good, but, you just want to get the best football players.
We talked a lot about backup quarterback this offseason and how you wanted to kind of rectify that situation. You did with Teddy. Kind of see kicker in the same light. Maybe you don't worry about it as much until you really need one. In terms of, when you're competing for division titles, that position could become critical. You guys were towards the bottom of the league in field goal percentage last year. I think toward the bottom of the league in longest field goal kicked. How confident are you that Riley's going to be the solution, rectify that situation?
Yeah, I would say, well, for the quarterback, I feel really good about our quarterback room now at this point. And with Riley, when we first had Riley, I thought Riley did a really good job. And then obviously he got claimed by Jacksonville and kicked for them and still did a good job. He's had his moments this training camp where you would like to be a little bit more consistently. But what I know about Riley is he's got a very low heart rate when it comes to game time. His confidence is high, so I'm not too concerned because I know who he is as a person. Hope for the best. You kind of saw the kick in Carolina where, it was probably a little bit outside of his range of kind of what he normally is. But, within his range, I mean, just look at the data on him in games and in critical situations. He's been pretty good. So feel good about it.
In what ways have you noticed outside the building people being excited about the Lions? And on any level, does that feel good? I know it doesn't give you a win, but does it validate what you have done so far?
Yeah, it does feel good. And like what I've always said, I'm just happy for the fans and for the city of Detroit because they deserve that. They deserve excitement. They deserve hope. So that's really good for us. Like, the let's call it the hype train, if you want to call it, or it's been called that. It was a little surprising to me this past offseason just because we didn't make the playoffs. Love how we ended the season, but I didn't think it would be to this magnitude. But regardless of whatever, how much positive news is coming out, we'll still keep the same mindset. Is that we'll always be the hunters, and we're not succumbing to targets on our back or I don't. No, we'll always be hunting and aiming for the target. So it doesn't really change our message. I think Dan's done an outstanding job with the team in terms of letting them know what the expectations are. We're not scared of the expectations. The expectations are earned through I think what we've built and what we've done up to this point in terms of how we finished the end of the season and through our player acquisition process. So. But now we got to just prove them right.
You're interested in kickers kicking the tires on some at the deadline the other day and quarterbacks even trailing minutes. Just can you characterize how active you were, how aggressive, given that the roster was pretty good to begin with?
Yeah, I mean, Dave, it's always my job to turn over every stone. It's so many players that are discussed within the league that aren't reported on, interest here or there. The Trey Lance thing in particular, I never reached out. I never inquired about the player or anything. So in terms of, because I think the report was us and some other teams were like in that group of being interested, but I never actively pursued the player. So I can't speak to the accuracy of those reports. But again, we're always going to look to upgrade the roster at any point. But if it's like something that's like real active and we reached out, we did not do that.
Ray, can you jump in on a couple defensive linemen, Haskell and Onzarike, two guys that maybe haven't been totally healthy until now? Do you feel like they're where you need them to be their best players, and just your thoughts on where they're headed?
Dan, do you think that I don't know as much about defensive linemen? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't take a question on defensive linemen without Ray speaking, actually.
Dan, I'm just here so I won't get fined. But no, you know, those two guys in particular that you talked about, Comiskey brings a very valuable aspect to our defense. The guy does all the dirty work, man. There's a lot of stuff that you guys will never know that he's doing that's helping us win, helping us be productive as a defense. So he's a great value to have on our team, and he plays extremely hard. You can count on him. He's dependable. You know, he does everything right. So he's very good. And as far as Levi, man, what a pleasant surprise, man. The guy looks healthy now. He's playing explosive. Pass rush is there. He's looking like the guy we drafted out of Washington. So Pascal. Okay, my bad.
No.
But Pascal, yeah, man, explosive. He's doing everything we thought he could do, man. He's setting the edge in the run game on base downs, and then he's bumping down inside on third down, rushing as a passer. You know, we're looking for big things out of him this year.
The final thing on the defense, Brad, do you think this defense, obviously you want to be better, but do you think you can go beyond better and be good with this group and be a difference maker, a reason you win games?
Yeah, I have the utmost confidence that we can achieve that. You know, I with AG and the personnel that we have, I do think that we have the recipe to achieve that. Again, we wanted to improve the personnel, which we did, especially on the back end, as was stated. But if you look at linebackers, you know, I mean, yeah, that's heavy to have 6 linebackers, but I mean, you have 5 guys that are starter level players that either have the ability to start or have started in this league. And you know, that defensive front, you know, you mentioned those guys. Ray just talked about, you know, just the Pascals, you know, I mean, having a full off season. I mean, he's just screaming all camp. Levi Onwuzurike, you know, there's never a question about ability about Levi. It was just, you know, just getting healthy, and he's been healthy and he's been screaming all camp. So I do believe, obviously, we're deep at edge. We're deep back there at safety. We're deep at corner. So I do think we have the necessary pieces to achieve that.
You mentioned expectation. You're not scared of expectations, but you also know this is kind of a brave new world for this team facing this type of thing. What do you see in your team besides the talent increase? But what do you see that they can make that transition from the team that was paying its dues and nobody paid attention to where it is now?
Yeah, I just think the ability that they were able to grow together, just the continuity that we've been able to maintain. You know, yes, we've drafted, you know, a lot of, you know, young players over the time, but again, like I was saying to Carlos earlier about just like every draft pick is very intentional. It's not just let's find a talented guy. Like that, I've always the talent piece is a very, let's call it the easy, coherent part of the process that's been in my mind. But just getting the right players, and so doing that, they're team guys, they're locker room guys. They fit us. But then when when we first get here, we don't even have a whole lot of money to spend in free agency, but being intentional about getting Khalif Raymond, being intentional about getting Alex Anzalone, being intentional about getting Charles Harris, those kind of guys that, you can keep around. And so that continuity, that growth, the offensive line, the continuity. So I think everybody growing together, I think, makes us feel good that we can be that.
Can I speak on the expectations? As a player, you want expectations. You want people to think you're going to be good. And the reason why we can be comfortable is because the guys we have on these 10, these guys are still hungry, man. They're still hungry. They're still hungry to prove that they're great in this league. They're still hungry to prove that we belong in the conversation. So I don't worry about that, man. We got a hungry group of guys, man. They come to work every day. You don't see anybody slacking, laying off like we figured it out. So I have no issues with that.
Left, because you see that some places, right? People get content, they get paid, they win, whatever it is. Well, why do you think you guys have assembled a group that is still?
I think Brad hit on it, man. The type of guys that we get, they love football, first of all. You know, they love to play football, and they want to be good, and they want to be great, man. And I mean, we face it, we haven't played in the playoffs yet. You know, I mean, everything sounds great, but we have not played in the playoffs yet. You know, and so there's still a hunger to get there.
I wanted to ask you about Brian Branch. Safety is one of those positions that maybe doesn't get as much attention as it used to in the drafts. If he is as
Positional value question.
good. Yeah, well,
Do we have enough defensive linemen for you?
if he's as good as what he looked during the preseason and training camp, I mean, a lot of people missed on this kid. So, how is he better maybe than what maybe even you anticipated when you selected him?
Yeah, you never know how quick it's gonna come on. I would say you're talking about a kid that played at a high level for one of the more historic programs in college football under an elite head coach in Nick Saban, and just the complexity on defense, and to play that star nickel position. That's a lot of demands mentally and physically, but it's not a surprise really. And I don't know if you would call it a miss, but I mean we had him as a first round player for us. You know, we were just able to be in striking distance. Just like I said about St. Brown. You know, there's nobody happier than I was when he ran a 4.58 or whatever he ran his 40. But you know, he's a football player. He fits who we are. So you don't know exactly how quick it's going to turn on, but we're not surprised that he's making the plays because he's doing really a lot of the same things that he did at Alabama. He's an outstanding tackler. He has elite instincts, and you know, some people put him in the box at safety, but we kind of always had him identified as a nickel. He did a little safety in the summer, and he can do that. He can do a lot of things. I mean, the positions are endless where I think that guy could play on defense really. But then that also, I think Brian Branch falls in line of kind of what our theme was, adding to the back end in general, in terms of we weren't really looking for just I need an outside only corner. I need a nickel only corner. I need a box safety. We don't have depth charts and all that kind of stuff. It's just we added just gritty, versatile DBs that are smart, and that's what Branch is. That's what Sutton is. That's what Mosley is. That's what C.J. Gardner-Johnson is. And so he just fit in that mold. But we're excited about him. He had a great camp. You know, look, he's still going to be a rookie. He'll have his moments here and there. So we're ready for that. But he's got the confidence to manage those moments. He's got, like what Ray and I talk about, just kind of the resting heart rate to kind of manage those big moments, even if he has a bad one. So, but pleased with what he's done.
I wanted to ask you about Jameson Williams. Maybe didn't have the training camp you would have wanted because of the injuries. Didn't get in as many preseason reps. What are your expectations for Jameson this year?
Yeah, well, had good communication with Jameson and his agent before the deadline. So obviously can't have any contact with them, but they have a good plan in place for him while he's recovering from his injury. And that 6-week suspension sounds daunting when you say that, but after 3 weeks he's going to be allowed to come back in the building, and we can kind of reacclimate him there. But the expectation is just for him to handle everything that the plan is set out to do within those 3 weeks. I have confidence that he will, and I have so much respect for the future, which is the unknown, that I want to say he's gonna get this many catches or this many yards, but we hope that he has an impact for us when he's able to join the team.
What you can or can't do with him, just like the training staff, can they train, or the rehab staff, can they meet with him off-site? Can they do anything with him to
You mean during the suspension? No, we can't have any contact with him. Yeah, we just had a plan that was communicated before the deadline.
And then, I know contractual stuff can be tricky sometimes, but Jonah, even Jared, I guess, are some things that have been talked about. So how important, if at all, are they to get done?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we've kept open dialogue with their agents in camp, and I think the transparency has been good. So we'll see how it goes.
Talk stand.
Good dialogue.
Yeah, you both mentioned and talked about continuity and so on. Obviously, your opening game has gotten a lot of attention since the day it dropped. How good do you feel about, or how do you feel about that you've built a roster that you can take anywhere and play anybody, that you can compete now?
Yeah, that's a good question, Mike. I think that last year we proved that we can definitely compete with anyone. We had some big games last year versus which you would consider the top elite teams in the league, and I believe that we got better this offseason and this training camp, and like what you mentioned, Mike, the continuity. So we feel even more confident that that we'll be able to compete with the big dogs. And what I mean, it's not a better test than that first opener. I mean, they're the champs, and so like I've always said, what I love about the league and everything that you hear is oh yeah, the Lions, they're gonna do this, they're gonna do that, great, but opening game is let's see it, and so that's we'll be ready to do that.
Not letting Ray off the hook here. Ray, going into the third year, just what you've seen from Brad and Dan's relationship and how that's affected it. Maybe no guy's been closer to it than you.
I mean, just the greatest thing about the situation here is those two on the same accord. And when we first got here, those two gave us the vision, the type of player we wanted, the type of guys we wanted on our team, and then we were able to all go out, as personnel department and coaching, assistant coaches, and do their vision and work their vision and get players. So that doesn't happen everywhere. I've been places where it doesn't happen that way, and it's tough to deal with. But here, man, we got great leadership. They're on the same page. We got a clear vision of what we want as in a football player and what we want in our culture. And if they don't have it, they can go play for somebody else. But I hope I answered your question.
Thank you. Appreciate it.